Hello and welcome back. In this tutorial, we will look at how we can use Tailwind class modifiers to create interactivity on HTML elements. Interactivity changes the state or look of an element when you hover it, click it, or it's in focus. Tailwind modifiers like over, focus, active, and group are the frequently used class modifiers for creating interactivity. Let's take a look at this simple example. We're going to create a button. I'm going to call it click. And in the button, we're going to give it a background green 600, padding 5 on the horizontal and padding 2 on the vertical. And we'll make it rounded, LG. So it looks like a button. This button is just plain. It's not really interactive. I'm going to change the click to plain. And maybe make the text white. It really doesn't show any interactivity, but it is a button. Let's create a button with an over effect. Add in over modifier. To add an over modifier, you're going to say over with a column, and then you put in whatever class you want to use as your modifier. In this instance, I'm going to change the plain green to a more lighter green. Say green 400. I'm going to change this to hover so we see that is what this applies for. So on the plain, it doesn't do anything, but you see on the over button, because we changed the over state to 400, you can see there is a form of interactivity in how this button behaves. Now let's create another one. This time, we're going to create a focus modifier. In the class, you say focus, and also put what I want to happen when you are in focus. I'm going to change the border. I'll make it border 2. And you can do more than one modifier. I'm going to say focus again and say the border should be, say, red 800 color. I'm going to change the text to focus. So when we are in focus, the border changes. This is for focus. The moment we click it, that's the button is in focus. And you can see how the border changes on the button. Let's do another one. This time we're going to do for active. Let me copy this too and bring it down here and also change the text to active. Active is when you click. What happens at that moment of click? So we'll say active, and what we'll do there is just change the font to bold. You see, the moment you click it, that active state works. Now let's do for all the modifiers. I'm going to combine all the modifiers together. Combine modifiers. First, I'm going to create a light red over effect. That will be BG red 200. So if you come to combine, you can see red is 200. I prefer 300, red 300. And then let's also do a focus. We're going to change the text color. I'm going to make it red 200 also. So when we focus, it changes to red 200 and it is in focus. That's why we have the moment you click out of focus, it changes back to the normal class. Let's also add an active that puts a green border around it. So I'm going to say border 2 and do another active of border color green 300. You see, the moment we click it, at that active state, it shows green border around it. The last one to discuss is group modifier. The group modifier allows you to group interactivity of parent-child elements together. That is, if you interact with a parent element, all the child element also responds to that interaction. We do a dummy text here. We have lorem 50. Give it a border with a border color of red 600, an all-round margin of 5, make it rounded, and also give it a padding of 3. I'm going to make it rounded XL, and a BG red of 100. So I'm going to have an inner heading of 2XL with a font bold, and I'm going to call that my heading. Font bold, I didn't put that bold well, okay. I want to change the overstate of this header anytime I enter into this element. If I try to do that on the element, I say over BG, say red 800. Let's make it not BG. Let's just change the text. So if I put my cursor over the text, you'll see the text changes, but over the parent div, it doesn't change this at all. To make my inner over effect to be active when I over the parent div, I'm going to put another class called group on the parent, and then on the over effect, I'm going to say group dash over. So that means this works when you enter the parent div. So when we do this, you see it works for that. Let's take another example of this. I'm going to say group modifier 2, and then we have a div with a lorem 50. We'll say a border 2. Let me just copy this whole class here and also copy this here. So let's say I want to make this div to all look very red when I put my mouse on the parent element, which is this external div. I want the headings to change and I want the overall body to change. So what I'm going to do is I will say on hover, I want to change the background to red 200. And yeah, and as you can see here, this changes red 200, but it doesn't change the heading. And if I come to the heading and say on hover, change the heading to text red, say 700, and I put my cursor, it's not going to change until I move my cursor over the heading. So if I want it to change when I put it on the parent, I'm going to put a group here. The parent will be a group. And then on the hover here, I'm going to say group dash. That is, the over should work with the parent element. So when I put my cursor on the parent element, you can see the heading also changes to a shade of red. This video is part of my course on Udemy titled Mastering Tailwind CSS with Project Example. Currently, we have 18 project examples that you can use. So go to the link in the description below for our sales coupon to access the course.